If you follow this channel at all, you already know because I talk about it all the time. My love for cars all started when I was about 8 years old and got the poster of what is now in the background back here, the 1989 Lamborghini Countach Anniversary Edition. Still incredible that that car is finally in our collection. Lamborghini launches what was going to be called the Aventador. And I saw some of the early launch specs of it. It looked like something completely out of this world, as per usual with Lamborghini. Somebody had ordered one, wasn't able to pay for it, so a brand new red Lamborghini Aventador Coupe was available. It was the very first car to be delivered to a Houston, Texas customer. At the time, it was significantly more money than what I had paid for my Murcielago. Was really nervous, is this a car I can even afford? Should I even go look at this thing before I get myself in financial trouble and take out a big old loan on a car that I probably had no business buying? But what did I do? I did exactly what you think you would do. I went to the dealership, test drove the car, and it blew my mind. It literally felt like a 20-year evolution from the Murcielago to the Aventador platform and everything that they'd done with that car. Through the years, as I was able to afford more cars, Lamborghini did exactly what they're supposed to do. They came out with more models, and I started with the Coupe, then we got into the very first Roadster version, had a beautiful white one. It was the first time I'd ever spec'd my own Lamborghini. Then came the SV. We had the 2006 SV Roadster. Insane car. That car is an absolute raw animal. And I'm going to tell you right now, with only 500 being made, I think long term, that car will begin to regain more value in the market, and it may catch or even surpass the SVJ. Then came the S, and we had the Aventador S Roadster. Then came the SVJ, and as per usual, I waited for the Roadster version, had the SVJ Roadster, but this is not the first SVJ Roadster that I bought. Bought that car, loved it, and the values went through the roof, and I sold that car, made $250,000. Through all the years of collecting, that was the very first time I ever made money on a Lamborghini. And about 3 months later, I realized I'd made a huge mistake. Yes, it was nice to have that money in the bank, but I no longer had an Aventador. And after having driven the SVJ, there was no way I was gonna go back and buy just a regular or any other variant of the Aventador. It had to be the SVJ Roadster. So here we have ours today. This is the 6th Aventador that I've ever owned. And this car does everything that Lamborghini's supposed to do, but a lot more. Let's get into this car and let me tell you how they did it. We are inside the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ, and again, this is the stripped down hardcore track variant version of the Aventador. Now, yes, they told me the same thing when they came out of the SV. Once I experienced it, I realized Lamborghini absolutely did take that track variant version of the Aventador to a whole new level. So, sparse interior, carbon fiber door cards, does not come with carpets. I did have some made in this car, but what's really cool about these formats is they've got the Nürburgring time that the SVJ did, and it is 6 minutes, 44 seconds and some change. That is significantly faster than even the 918 Spider. That's faster than the 991 GT3 RS. Even when you fast forward to the 992 GT3 RS, the ultimate variant of a track version of the 911, it's only 0.12 seconds faster than the record set by the SVJ. Absolutely, truly incredible, truly phenomenal. But when I get in this car, what I really love is the seat's honestly a little softer, a little bit more comfortable than the 2016 SV that I had. And I actually can appreciate that because it allows me to drive this car and enjoy it more. It actually has a better ride quality. So this is a car that you can, even as hardcore as it is, it actually has some characteristics of the Aventador S, which was a very compliant, comfortable version of the Aventador. And then of course, as you know, if you know your Aventadors, there is one model that was made after the SVJ, and that was the Ultimate. They have the Ultimate Coupe, the Ultimate Roadster. They made them in much smaller numbers than what they made the SVJ Roadster. There's 800 of these. But if you look at the marketplace, it's very clear what customers wanted and what we are all really chasing and what we appreciate the most when it comes to the Aventador, and it's the SVJ. Currently, this car is still selling between $200,000 to $250,000 over MSRP. And if you look at Ultimates, they're significantly cheaper on asking price, and they're not moving. They sit for sale for long periods of time. And I think Lamborghini made a real mistake making that car. Number one, this should have been the end of the line. This should have been the swan song of the Aventador, no doubt about that. You want the loudest and you want the most badass version of it, and that's what the SVJ is, and that's why it's standing the test of time in the marketplace. Now's the time I show you what makes this car a little different, but very, very special. Jumps like a frog, it just lunges when you send this thing. Violent. I can't think of another word to accurately describe this car. It's violent. It's by far the most exciting version of the Aventador, and that deserves the most exciting exhaust system, the Gintani. It's absolutely outrageous. It's the only exhaust I've ever seen that is truly as outrageous as the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster. One of my favorite things that I love about this particular variant of the Aventador is the drive modes that you get and the way you can set them up for yourself. Strada, Sport, and Corsa. Strada by far being the softest setting, so the quickness and responsiveness of the steering, the tightness of the steering, the powertrain, how it puts out the power, and the gearbox. I noticed the biggest difference between these drive modes. And in Strada, it shifts a little slower, a little smoother. It's not really there to snap your neck. It's really to provide a more comfortable daily driving, if you will. You're in here and you've got your wife and it's a date night, and you can venture to let you take the Aventador out that night. I highly advise using Strada, aka wife mode. Just tames things down enough, just enough where you don't look like the absolute maniac that you know you are when you're driving this car alone without her in it. Calms things down, she's a little more comfortable, everybody's happy. Then you move up to sport mode. Quickens up and tightens up the steering response a good amount. It's actually quite noticeable. Same thing with the powertrain. It shifts a little quicker, much harder, quite honestly, and it tightens up the suspension. Then you've got Corsa, which is just all open. I mean, just where you rip the governor off, it's gonna snap your neck on every shift, and the shifts are really fast for what this is. Let's not forget, this is a single clutch gearbox. Shifts much harder, much faster in Corsa. The suspension is locked down. It's tight as can be, and the steering is as fast and weighty as it possibly could be in Corsa. I drive it mostly in ego, not for my ego, but I drive this car quite a bit. I've got almost 4,000 miles on this car, which again, when you've got 28 cars in a car collection, that's a lot of miles to put on one car. The Ego mode allows me, I put the steering in Corsa mode. I like the quick, tight, heavy weightiness of the Corsa setting of the steering. The suspension I put in Strada. I put a lot of miles in this car. I drive it quite a bit. And I want it to be the most compliant. It's the city of Houston. We don't have the best roads. You try driving around this car, the suspension in Corsa, you'll be looking for a good chiropractor the next week, I promise you. I leave the powertrain in sport mode really because two big things. Number one, in Corsa, it shifts so hard. It really will just kind of wear you out after about 30 minutes of being in the car. But also, and what's really interesting, Corsa, the gearbox is set up for setting lap times, which means it's going to shift as fast as it possibly can for what the gearbox is. In sport, you get a little bit more of this. Definitely much more of the show-off mode. It gets just a little blip of the throttle, and that's programmed into the software. Get those snaps and pops and bangs as you go through the upshifts, go through the downshifts. It's definitely the perfect setting for me for everyday driving. I really want to enjoy how this exhaust sounds without that really hard shifting and really fast. It cuts that out quite a bit. You don't get as much of the pops and the bangs and that little delay between the shifts that, quite honestly, and I know a lot of people complained about the single clutch gearbox and how it shifts, but that is the defining characteristic of how this car drives. Go down to second, hit it. my God. That is the experience that you want every time you drive this car. I'm gonna get up here, got a little bit of traffic. I'm gonna put it in Corsa mode. And when you put it in Corsa mode, you'll see, you're just holding on for dear life. Here we go, Corsa mode, and here we go. God. This car is so violent. Let's be honest, Lamborghinis are the ultimate show-off car. You know, with the crazy, outrageous design, the scissor doors, Lambo doors, whatever you want to call them, signature of V12 Lamborghinis, loud colors. Cars are mostly about showing off, and quite honestly, they're fun road driving cars. But they were never a car that I got into and I thought, man, I can only imagine what this car would be like on track. I want to see what this car can do on track. I never had that inclination in my Murcielago, the Diablo 6.0 that I had. Absolutely love driving that car, gated manual, which is the defining characteristic of that car. Is it a car that I think I'm going to set even a respectable lap time on a track? No, absolutely not. And when they came out with the SVJ, Lamborghini talked all about the ALA. They actually first talked about it on the Huracan Performante. And I had the Huracan Performante. And when the car was launched, I legitimately thought this whole ALA jargon was just a bunch of marketing stuff to sell a slightly lighter, slightly sharpened up version of the Huracan in the Performante. And the more they talked about the ALA, what they kept really talking about was the downforce. And the faster you were going through corners, the more traction, the more downforce, the more grip you would end up with. I never took mine on track, but I talked to two guys that are drivers that I highly respect. And they both kept talking about how to really get the most out of that car, you had to go into corners faster than what you felt like the mechanical grip would allow you to. And it wasn't until they finally just put their faith in the car, in the ALA, that they finally really start getting the true performance of what Lamborghini was on about with the whole ALA system. And that carries over directly to this car. This car doesn't have that much more horsepower than my 2016 SV Roadster that I had. What is it? 10, 20 horsepower more, something like that? Yeah, it's 20 horsepower more. This one's 770 horsepower. The SV was 750 horsepower, 20 horsepower more. But with this car, it has the ALA system and all the additional aero. And it really adds up to the performance of what this car has now come to define of the Aventador. This is the first time Lamborghini made their big show-off car a truly incredible, amazing driving experience and capability. But we got a bridge right now. I pray to God I never outgrow that. No hybrid assist, and I know we all wanted the dual clutch gearbox, but I want you to think about it like this. You think about how much we've harkened back now to manual gearboxes. And now the manufacturers, of course Porsche was the first one to listen to their customers and get it right, that customers were starting to demand to go back to manual gearboxes because of the driving experience. It was so much more involvement. It makes it so much more special. Now, you'll never drive a manual gearbox as fast as you can a sequential automated gearbox, the PDK and the Porsche, or really any other brand. But when you're out on the road, you're not setting lap times. You're out here for driving enjoyment, experience, the involvement of it. And that's where this single clutch gearbox, I think, is going to stand long term. The AC actually does work pretty well. You've only got 4 air conditioning vents. It's Texas. It's almost 100 degrees today. I've got the top off. The AC's doing a pretty good job keeping me cool and comfortable. You can't see squat. You can park a city bus in the blind spot that you have over my right shoulder for sure, over that passenger side of the car. So that's why you have to perfect what's called the Lamborghini lane change. Lamborghini lane change means I drop it 2 gears, hit the throttle, count to 3, then make my lane change. I don't need to worry about what's beside me because everything's very far behind me. Throughout the variants of the Aventador, and I had an Aventador S Roadster and absolutely loved that car. The biggest thing to me from the base model Aventadors, the original SV, to the S, the ride quality. They really evolved the suspension in that car to give a really good ride, where now, for the first time ever, you had the big, bad, awesome V12 flagship Lamborghini, but in a car that when you put it in Strada or even sport mode, actually had a very good ride to it. And it allowed it to be very comfortable, and it allowed me to really start driving the Aventador a lot more. I've dailied these cars quite a bit since the S variant came out. So the ride quality, other than Corsa mode, is fantastic. And when it's in Corsa mode, I'm gonna say it's fantastic because that's exactly what you need to be when you're in that mode. The radio. I don't even know why Lamborghini bothered to put a radio really in any of their cars. They're horrible. But there's something about the Aventador. The radio has like this low droning pitch. It sounds like you're in a coffee can, but with this low drone, and it actually hurts your ears to try to listen to the radio in this car. Oh. All right. Like I said, everybody wants to hear this car. That's what I mean. You're sharing this car with everybody else, and that adds to the excitement when you take this car out and drive it. Everybody around you is having a good time with you. Bridge time. Ah, yes. The SVJ Roadster, unbelievable. God, this car is absolutely violent. But what really is this car, and where do I think it's going in the history of Lamborghini? Well, I'll tell you. If you think about it, this is the perfected, the best version of a car that does bridge the gap between the analog. I would say the last Lamborghini analog car would be no doubt the Lamborghini Diablo 6.0, but that's the end, that's the last of the true V12 analog cars from Lamborghini. Then came out with the Murcielago, and the Murcielago was a big step forward from the Diablo 6.0, but not that big. Let's be honest, once they launched the e-gear system, it really isn't all that great. It had about, what, 80 more horsepower than the 6.0, which is a lot. But this car here takes everything that the Murcielago was trying to be, and it shows its 10-year evolution over the launch of that car. You've got this unbelievable, absolutely dynamic single clutch gearbox that adds so much to the driving excitement. You can set the drive modes up the way you want them. I like an ego mode. I can kind of get the best of all three worlds, softening the suspension, getting the steering real fast and quick like I like it from the Corsa mode, and then giving a nice middle of the road powertrain drive. This car brings a driving excitement that no other car on the road can deliver. The mid-engine V12 absolutely howls as you go down the highway. Yes, we got the Gintani exhaust on there, but a car this extreme absolutely deserves an exhaust that extreme, and God knows that is the most extreme exhaust I've ever seen on any car. It's unbelievable. But this car here, it's already, as I said, continuing to trade $200,000 to $250,000 over MSRP, because this is the end of an era. Lamborghini will never make another single clutch, mid-engine, non-hybrid assist V12 ever again. This is it. This is the end of the line. This is the ultimate. Yes, they have the Ultimate. I think the Ultimate is a big miss. This is the ultimate Aventador. This is the ultimate Lamborghini of today, and that is exactly why, because it'll never be reproduced. This ultimate Lamborghini will never leave our collection.